The camera was never supposed to capture a crime. It was just another late-night live stream. A YouTuber driving through the empty streets of a quiet American town, talking to viewers, laughing at comments, listening to music. Thousands of people watched live from their bedrooms around the world. But hidden in the background for less than 4 seconds, the camera captured something horrifying. A woman running, a man chasing her, and moments later she disappeared forever. What began as ordinary content for the internet suddenly became evidence in a real murder investigation. This is the chilling story of how a YouTuber accidentally filmed a real crime in the background. In the summer of 2019, the small city of Brookhaven, Mississippi, looked peaceful on the surface. The town was quiet. Streets were mostly empty after midnight. Families slept behind locked doors, while gas stations and diners glowed under fluorescent lights in the humid southern darkness. At the center of this story was 22-year-old college student Emily Carter. Emily was known as friendly, independent, and ambitious. She worked part-time at a cafe while studying nursing. Friends described her as someone who always answered messages quickly and hated making people worry. That is why, when Emily suddenly stopped responding one Friday night, her family immediately sensed something was wrong. Earlier that evening, Emily had gone out with friends to celebrate the end of summer classes. Security cameras later showed her leaving a downtown bar around 12:43 a.m. After that, nothing. No phone calls, no texts, no social media activity. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. But at the exact same time Emily disappeared, another person was unknowingly recording nearby. A local YouTuber named Jason Wells. Jason Wells was not famous. He had around 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, mostly people who enjoyed his relaxed late-night live streams. He drove through cities, talked with viewers, and explored quiet locations after dark. His audience liked the calm atmosphere. No drama, no fake pranks, just a guy driving and talking. On August 16, 2019, Jason began streaming shortly after midnight. The live stream title was simple: Late Night Drive, Small Town Vibes. For nearly an hour, nothing unusual happened. He drove through empty intersections, answered viewer questions, and joked about getting lost. Then, around 1:12 a.m., Jason turned onto a narrow side street near an abandoned warehouse district, and for a few seconds, everything changed. At first, nobody noticed. The stream continued normally. Jason kept talking. Viewers kept commenting, but hidden in the far corner of the frame, barely visible under a flickering streetlight, the camera captured two figures. One appeared to be a woman running. Behind her, a taller figure moving quickly. Then the woman stumbled near the sidewalk. The video shook slightly as Jason's car passed by, and seconds later, both figures vanished from view. Jason never reacted. He never saw them. The live stream continued for another 2 hours before ending. Nobody watching realized they had just witnessed the final known moments of a missing woman's life. The next morning, Emily's parents contacted police. At first, investigators believed it might be a normal missing person case involving a young adult staying out overnight. But as hours passed, concern rapidly grew. Emily's phone was turned off. Her bank cards were untouched. Friends said her behavior before disappearing seemed completely normal. Police began reviewing security footage across the downtown area. That is when detectives noticed something disturbing. One camera showed Emily walking alone shortly after leaving the bar. Another showed a dark-colored pickup truck slowly following behind her, but the license plate could not be identified. Detectives released a public statement asking residents for information. Local news stations covered the disappearance heavily. Flyers spread across town. Days passed without answer. Then 4 days later, everything changed because of a random viewer on YouTube. Subscriber named Marcus. Reed was rewatching Jason Wells's live stream while eating dinner. Like many fans, Marcus often replayed streams in the background while working. But this time, something caught his attention. At exactly 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 43 seconds into the video, he noticed movement near the edge of the screen. He paused, rewound, watched again. There it was, a woman running across the street, a second figure behind her. Marcus immediately thought about the missing person case dominating local news. The clothing looked similar to what Emily had reportedly been wearing the night she vanished. Marcus contacted police that same evening. At first, investigators were skeptical, but after reviewing the footage themselves, detectives realized the timestamp matched the exact window when Emily disappeared. Suddenly, a casual YouTube live stream transformed into critical evidence. Investigators obtained the original high-quality recording directly from Jason Wells. The footage was blurry, dark, and grainy, but forensic video analysts enhanced the image frame by frame. Slowly, details emerged. The woman appeared to match Emily's height and clothing. The second figure seemed male. Most chilling of all, investigators noticed a dark pickup truck parked partially hidden near the warehouse entrance. The same type of truck seen earlier on security cameras downtown. Police immediately searched the warehouse district. Behind one abandoned building, detectives discovered signs of a struggle: broken jewelry, scattered personal items, and eventually traces of blood. The area became an active crime scene overnight. For the first time, investigators believed Emily had likely been abducted. The case was no longer a disappearance. It was potentially murder. News about the YouTube footage spread rapidly online. Headlines across America described how a live stream accidentally captured evidence connected to a missing woman. Millions watched clips of the video. People analyzed every frame. True crime forums exploded with theories. Some users claimed they could identify the suspect. Others believed they spotted additional clues hidden in the darkness. The story became a terrifying reminder of how cameras constantly surround modern life. At any moment, ordinary recordings can capture extraordinary horrors. Meanwhile, Jason Wells faced overwhelming guilt. In emotional interviews later, he admitted he barely remembered driving through that street. He said if he had noticed the woman running, he would have stopped immediately, but the figures were distant, partially hidden, and visible only briefly. "I keep replaying it in my head," he later said. "What if I had looked over 1 second earlier?" For Jason, the stream that once entertained viewers had become a nightmare. As investigator traced the pickup truck, one name quickly emerged: 34-year-old Daniel Mercer. Mercer lived just outside Brookhaven and worked irregular construction jobs. He had a history of violent behavior, including prior arrests involving harassment and assault. Most importantly, he owned a dark Ford pickup matching surveillance footage. Police brought Mercer in for questioning. He denied knowing Emily, denied being near the warehouse district, denied everything. But detectives soon uncovered major inconsistencies. Cell phone records placed Mercer near downtown that night. Witnesses reported seeing his truck parked close to the bar Emily visited, and forensic teams discovered traces of blood inside the vehicle. The evidence was growing rapidly, but investigators still lacked one crucial piece. Emily herself had not been found. Without a body, prosecutors feared the case could become complicated. Then, 2 weeks later, search teams made a devastating discovery. In a wooded area, nearly 30 miles outside Brookhaven, volunteers assisting police noticed disturbed ground near an isolated dirt road. Buried beneath loose soil, investigators found human remains. Dental records later confirmed the victim was Emily Carter. The entire town fell into shock. For weeks, hope had remained alive that she might still return home safely. Now that hope was gone forever. Autopsy reports revealed Emily died from blunt force trauma. Shortly after her abduction, investigators believed she attempted to escape near the warehouse district. The exact moment accidentally captured on Jason's live stream. Those few seconds of footage became the last visual record of Emily alive, and they would become the center of the murder trial. In early 2021, Daniel Mercer stood trial for kidnapping and murder. The prosecution presented surveillance footage, phone records, DNA evidence, and witness testimony. But the most powerful moment came when prosecutors played Jason Wells' live stream for the jury. The courtroom fell silent. Jurors watched the grainy footage carefully. A woman running, a shadow chasing behind her. A desperate moment frozen forever on camera. Prosecutors argued the footage showed Emily attempting to flee from Mercer moments before her capture. Defense attorneys tried to challenge the video's clarity, claiming the figures could not be positively identified. But prosecutors combined the footage with digital tracking data, forensic evidence, and Mercer's inconsistent statements. Together, the evidence formed a devastating timeline. After less than 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict: guilty. Daniel Mercer was sentenced to life in prison, without parole. For Emily's family, the conviction brought some measure of justice, but no sentence could erase what happened that night. Long after the trial ended, the case continued haunting people online. Many viewers admitted the story changed how they saw ordinary videos forever. Background details once ignored suddenly felt important. People began scanning live streams, TikToks, and street videos differently because this case proved something deeply unsettling. Real crimes can unfold right in front of cameras, unnoticed by everyone watching. Experts later discussed a phenomenon called inattentional blindness. It happens when people fail to notice unexpected events because their attention is focused elsewhere. Jason Wells was concentrating on driving and reading comment. Viewers focused on his conversation. As a result, nobody immediately saw the terrified woman in the corner of the frame. The human brain often misses what it does not expect to see, and sometimes those missed moments are deadly. Investigators also noted that Emily's case was not entirely unique. Over the years, real crimes have accidentally appeared in the background of photos, live streams, and videos. Sometimes a suspicious vehicle, sometimes a kidnap, sometimes a suspect unknowingly walking behind tourists taking selfies. In several investigations, random digital footage has become crucial evidence. Modern life is constantly recording. Doorbell cameras, dash cams, live streams, security systems, phone. At almost any moment, Someone, somewhere may be filming, and criminals often forget that. What once disappeared into darkness can now survive forever online. Months after the trial, Jason Wells uploaded one final video discussing the case. He looked exhausted, older, different. He explained that he had stopped live streaming regularly because the experience deeply affected his mental health. He said the hardest part was realizing how close he had been, just a few yards away from a terrified person needing help. "If I had noticed," he said quietly, "maybe things could have changed." But investigators repeatedly stated there was no reason Jason should blame himself. The crime happened extremely quickly. The footage was unclear, and Mercer was considered dangerous. Still, Jason carried the emotional weight of that night. Before ending the video, he addressed viewers directly. "Pay attention to the world around you," he said. "Sometimes real life is happening in the background." Then the screen faded to black. Today, the story of Emily Carter remains one of the internet's most disturbing true crime cases. Not because the killer was especially clever, not because the crime was impossible to solve, but because of how ordinary everything seemed. A normal live stream, a quiet street, a passing moment nobody noticed, until it was too late. Somewhere in the world tonight, millions of cameras are recording ordinary life. People are filming vacations, live streaming walks, making vlogs, recording traffic, capturing random moments for strangers online. And hidden somewhere in those endless hours of footage, real stories may already exist. Stories nobody has noticed yet. Crimes nobody realizes were captured. Secrets hiding quietly in the background. The terrifying truth is this: sometimes the most horrifying evidence is not discovered by detectives. Sometimes it is uploaded to the internet by accident.